'cause it ain't hard to explain.
I love that.
Oh,
I love that.
Live.
Hello.
I have to start. You're singing the Ballad of Jane.
Jane, the man they call Jane. Yes, the hero of Canton.
Such a great show.
It was.
All right, so tonight's TableBreakers is episode 50. And
Hey, Bruce.
We're gonna wrap up this classic monsters revisited, and then we're gonna discuss some things on how you can customize these monsters for whatever game you play, whatever edition. And we're gonna try to help you out as best as we can because we want you to have the best game for your players. My name is Bruce Lombardo, and welcome to TableBreakers episode 50. Thank you. There we go. All right, back to that. Back to the important stuff. We're painting figurines, and you guys are talking. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Howdy, folks. Bruce is not the only one painting.
Eventually, I'll be painting, but not yet.
Yay! We found more places for Kai to stow things in his new home.
Yeah. I'm missing a few tools, but beyond that, I'm almost ready. I plan on painting this guy first.
Ooh.
Oh, no fair, man.
Yeah.
30 seconds to comply.
That's going to be my new, just like DM enforcement miniature. You're breaking the rules. Please stop. You have 30 seconds to comply.
Yeah, I'm still partial to the Headless Horseman. That's my favorite DM warning tool.
That's a good one, Jade.
I mean, it starts off with a perception check to see if you can hear the hooves of a horse coming up from behind. And once they get the clue, then, well...
Yeah.
Eventually, I will have a backdrop.
I've got two really cool Headless Horseman miniatures. One's in clear green plastic, and the other one is the Whiz Kids version, which it's all right, but the Archon Studios clear plastic version, freaking incredible.
Eventually, Skeletor will have a backdrop or a diorama to stand in front of.
Better be Snake Mountain.
I was thinking something along those lines, but I don't have quite the space that I need for the original Snake Mountain toy.
Okay.
I could, yes. Hold on, let me sell these other items off. I don't want to do that.
I like Snake Mountain. Snake Mountain was cool. The Eternia toy with the monorail, that was stupid.
Yes, it was.
Like, I don't understand what they were thinking when they made that. And then Hasbro's redoing Eternia for like $600 or $700, but it's a pre-order. Well, how long is it going to take, Bruce? Well, it'll take about a year and a half for your pre-order to be finished. The pre-order will have $700 locked away, earning interest for Hasbro. This is a company that makes $12-13 billion a year without your input, and you're giving them $700 to just sit on. No wonder they're a $12 billion annual company. Stop that.
No. I like wasting money. Thank you very much.
So do I, but I'd rather buy a bunch of Lego space stuff
That's true.
from the 1980s.
That too is
That
also
was
for
good stuff. That was some good stuff, man.
You are throwing money away still, but that's okay.
So I'm just pulling up all of the monsters from Index Card RPG across multiple books. So
I'll let Shadow start because he's right next to me. And what else would you want to put on? What else do you want to talk about for how to increase or how to personalize these monsters for your game, Shadow?
Well, I was thinking about it, and there's some monsters that I want to talk about. But before we get there, I was thinking, there's a lot of really simple ways to improve your basic 1 and 2 hit die. Right off the bat, humanoids are the easiest. And I know everybody was talking about, putting in a spellcaster, but something occurred to me that would be even not more, not better, but just another alternative is, we were talking about the bad guy, the big bad guy at the end, so to speak, and using him and his possible spellcasting abilities to imbue his champions with spells. There are a lot of spells that he could place on, let's say an orc fighter, some sort of, sergeant or lieutenant. You cast a couple of the right spells on him, and then he disappears in the background. The big bad guy will cast a couple of spells on his flunky, and now they're tougher, fire resistant, or something like that. And little things like that could make a big difference in the next battle. Another thing I thought of, which is really kind of a really cheap buff, and that's just good old-fashioned plate mail. If you look through most of the old books, they were armed and armored with, things like studded leather, maybe chainmail. Well, you throw a suit of plate mail on him that only cost, the big bad a couple of hundred gold or less to put on his lieutenant, and then throw some spikes on it and, personalize it, make it look, scary. And now those orc lieutenants that are still 1 or 2 hit dice, but now they're maybe 4 or 5, 6 points harder to hit without magic, just with good old fashioned, gold. Just here, throw some money at your monsters, upgrade them that way. Instead of typical long swords and battle axes, give them a bastard sword or a 2-handed sword. Now or a halberd. Now the damage is been beefed up. And the players will get dick for beating the bad guys. Oh, you want the halberd? Okay. You know what I mean? You want the 2-handed sword? Cool. It's ugly as sin and greasy and nasty, and it still does its beefed up damage, but do you really want to go into town with that as part of your loot? Maybe not. It depends on the party.
Half it willing to sell.
And but you're talking about like 10 or 15 gold for 10 or 15 pounds worth of crap you got to carry if you're still doing encumbrance rules at 1st to 4th level. They may just like toss it, to prefer to just carry some of the gold home when they've only got X number of pounds between the party. Excuse me. Let's say you figured out the party can carry home safely 500 pounds worth of treasure. Do they want to spend 12 of those pounds to carry 12 gold pieces, or would they rather spend those 12 pounds to carry 150 gold? Stuff like that. Same with the plate mail. Yeah, sure, if the fighters in the party don't have plate mail, but then they might get mistaken for orcs if that plate mail has been, seen before. If the townsfolk, relate that to the orc armor, and then they see a bunch of people coming into town all spiked armor, they might, might cause some role-playing, situations before they can get into town. Well, prove you're not an orc. Take off your helmet. Well, that could be an illusion. That sort of thing. Just simple ways without really having to delve into throwing magic items or magic. That the players are going to be able to benefit from if they win. Ideas like that. What do you guys think? Uh-oh.
What was the question? And I'm sorry for my tiredness. I had to be dad tonight.
No, it wasn't a question. It was just some thoughts I wanted to add on to, beefing up classic low-level monsters. Just some simple, low-tech, low-value, but high-end result things to beef up your monsters so that when your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th level party is encountering them. Sure, the challenge is there, but they're not going to be walking away with, thousands of gold or, plus magic items or things like that. I also covered having your big bad spellcaster cast spells on your first low level monsters so that they have temporary bonuses and the players get nothing out of it but a greater challenge.
I mean, yeah, you can definitely add items to monsters, like lesser insignificant items to monsters to make them a little more challenging, a little more deadly. I mean, as a player side of things, we had a player in the group that was a necromancer, and he armed all of his skeletons with basically self-detonation traps. So as soon as any one of them would take damage, they would just literally explode for like 6 dice worth of damage. And there was no save on it.
Sounds like a great plan.
So I mean, yeah, and all it cost him was the onyx to raise a 1-hit die skeleton, and then I think it cost him maybe another 50 gold, so a total of 100 gold to outfit a 1-hit die skeleton to basically be a suicide bomber, effectively.
Was there phlegm in the person's name?
No.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Nobody we know there, Connell.
At least three of us know this person, but haven't spoken to them in a long while now.
What was that their Skeletor?
I'm saying it's nobody we really know.
Phlegm, other languages, more phlegm.
Oh.
This is why Jay cannot have nice things.
You see that right there is why my holiday special tanked. I got licked in the face, and then I lost my edge. I had to go and seek help. I had to stay with Hordak and
be right back.
with him. The horror. He had lost it.
The horror.
Now, once again, I'm sorry for coming in late. I had father things I had to deal with the terror of some kid.
If you apologize for being a dad one more time, I'm going to boot you from the stream.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
But I was there thinking about what you just said. How to put a little extra life, a little more shebang in your bang. I mean, in your bad guys. That's awkward.
Sheboygan.
Armor is a good idea, and I get what you're saying. Cheap armor to buff up the AC a little bit to give the monsters HP. But really, if you want to put a little shebang into your enemies, and you don't want your party to walk away with a lot of loot, make sure one of the enemy combatants has the feet sunder. Oh, and you thought you're going to be able to walk out here with loot. Sunder sword, sunder shield, sunder armor, sunder whatever.
No.
That's a good way to piss people off.
Yeah, but I could see that coming across as just being a vindictive DM.
I love giving my monsters the ability to sunder equipment.
Now, see, with me, I kind of like Bruce's thing that he did because everybody in our game decided they needed to have a belt of battle. And
I'm sorry.
A belt of battle, which basically for 3 charges a day gives you another full turn immediately. So basically, what he did is started grafting them into monsters so they couldn't do anything. So literally, they got 2 full round attacks in one shot. They usually did that the first round. And truthfully, that right there can be just as devastating as throwing on extra armor or whatnot. Just for the simple fact of, I have 2, I'm a 2 weapon fighter monster. I get, four attacks a round. No, I get 8 attacks this round. Whack, 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 whack. That is like every healer's fear right there.
Yeah.
Lessons learned. Don't fuck with action economy.
Yep.
Baron, what game would that be that they're getting 4 to 8 attacks?
It's 3.0 / Pathfinder. 3035 Pathfinder. It's
really, because I haven't seen anybody get more than like 1 attack in Bruce's game of Pathfinder.
Because Bruce doesn't allow that item in his game anymore. We broke that for everyone else. You're welcome.
No, I mean, any other ways also. It just seems like a rare instance. I mean, I think it's happened twice in the game that I've seen that somebody ever gets more than 1 attack.
Well, then the archers are doing their job incorrectly, because rapid shot gives me 3.
Well, yeah, that's archers. Archers have always gotten a little bit more in the way of attack, but
once you hit levels, what I'm talking about is your 2-weapon fighter. So you get 2 hits with this one. You get 2 hits with your offhand. Your offhand's at a negative.
It's still.
But you activate that belt of battle, and you can do it all over again. So it's essentially 8 attacks. So instead of 2, you get 2 with one hand, 2 with the other. Then you just double it.
At level 20, a fighter gets 4 attacks in a round. And this is the mathematical breakdown of Pathfinder 3.5. Once you hit a plus 20 bonus, you've got 1 attack at plus 20, 1 attack at plus 15, 1 attack at plus 10, and 1 attack at plus 5. Now, if you're a 2-weapon fighter with a light offhand weapon, and you've taken all the 2-weapon fighting feats, you have 7 attacks at level 20, starting at the plus, was it plus 20? I think it's -2 for 2-weapon fighting at that point. And then the attacks just iterate down for both sides of the attack. So most people cap out at 7 attacks. However, if either one of your weapons has the speed property, you get an extra attack. So that maxes out at 8 attacks in a round at level 20.
Now I got a question.
There are ways to get more though.
Now let's say you're a drummer and you're bard levels, right? And you make a belt that lets you drum, an extra, let's say, a couple beats per turn. So you're going bam, bam, and these drumsticks just happen to be, shillelaghs. Does that get around the belt of battle, the belt of drummers?
No.
No.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Do you want me to pull that shenanigan on you?
Yes.
Oh, man, no shillelagh walking around here, boy.
I like shenanigans because the shenanigans keep me and my players on their toes.
But no, that is one thing. Even just giving them a magic item that is unlootable. That is a definite way because it is grafted to their skin. There is no way of separating it from the hide, and when they die, the magic properties dies with them.
Or you might have monsters or beings that have been mutated on purpose to have like a scythe for an arm instead.
Yep.
Was this 300?
Mutant Chronicles.
Well, I mean, yeah, Mutant Chronicles 300.
Well, fight in the dark.
There's multiple ways of refitting a monster to your ends and to your purpose. And not just, for 3.5, 3.0 players, you have, all the different feats you could give them, all the different amount of hit dice and class levels. But in other games, you can just say, okay, well, I'm going to swap out this power here for this other power here. And, well, now we've got a new monster.
I think the best way that I've seen that used is actually in like Dark Heresy.
Yes.
Because the chaos love to swap out limbs. They love to swap out all kinds of things. Looking at just the followers of Nurgle, you have they erupt in pustules. and everything else. A and Z, but they erupt in pustules, they erupt in disease. And these are things that the players have to deal with either there on the spot or even after the fact. So it's not necessarily going to be something that that you have on that monster that is going to give it to them. I mean, look at like Mummy Rot. Swinging back around to fantasy side, Mummy Rot doesn't hit immediately. It takes a little time to incubate, and once it incubates, ooh, buddy. So I mean, there are many different ways. I mean, you even have you can do Necromancer that can attach things to his undead. That's not unheard of.
I mean, other ways you might rebuild like a zombie or something is the ability to vomit out swarms of flies, and then those swarms of biting flies go attack the party. It would be within the theme. You can also have them do kind of like a psychic assault to a certain extent through just a fear effect. And these are all abilities you can just plug and play onto monsters. You don't have to actually have, hard, fast. You don't have to have hard, written in stone rules for some of this, but you do have to take good notes on it. You do have to have the information in front of you so it keeps you honest with your players.
What are your thoughts, Kai?
Honestly,
Okay.
What was that?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yesterday was Kai's birthday, so if everyone wants to type out "Happy Birthday" song in chat to him, you're more than welcome. I told you I was going to do that.
I know you were.
And you called my bluff.
I did. Look, this was the only cool thing I got out of it was old TWA playing cards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, TWA.
Nice. Very cool. Very vintage.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, it's a full deck. Just look what they used to hand out on.
Unlike the person that's holding them, it is a full deck.
Yeah.
Shots fired, man! Shots fired.
I mean, given Connell's stature, he has to go for the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, when you're 2'3", that's what happens.
I didn't think I could be out, socializing, actually having life by hanging out with you nitwits.
I know.
Isn't it great?
Hey, well, just look at it this way. By Christmas time, you'll be able to fit in a lady's handbag so you can go home with anybody.
Weren't hobbits supposed to be gone by this? But I'm by our age, so.
Elves,
Anyway.
hobbits.
But no, I honestly, I kind of just go with the idea that, give them I'm going to go with a version of Shadow's comment of just give them comparable gear to us and then give them enough that nobody wants to, you can't pawn it. I'm sorry. That's really, we're just so used to everyone being, super special, and it's just like, nah, you just need comparable. And players kind of go, but sure, you get a few of the pack rats like us who just kind of like I do. Like, and we're like, well, I'm going to sell everything, and then you're like, no pawn store is going to take your bloody, your blood covered dead gear, and I'm like, well, okay, but then again, I don't. But honestly, just giving your people just creative gears helps a lot. So that way they're not just running around in ragged leather and sharpened stick, and that's it. And it can go. A +1 goes a long way. A +2 goes a long way. Yeah, once you start figuring out numbers, yeah.
Or the really fun thing you can do is give them all cursed armor.
The thing is that at that point, you gotta try to justify
Well,
who's cursing it? And
here's the thing: if you're looking at like undead and you're doing that, that's how they became undead. Was due to a curse. It sucked their life and reanimated them.
No, just give them disease. Just give the armor some kind of disease left over from the undead carrying it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's same as the curse, effectively.
Full touch.
Yeah, and that way you don't have to be throwing out your best tricks. We are talking low level here, so you start hitting them with the uber sort of tactics and strategies as a dungeon master. You're going to end up with that total party kill a lot quicker and less satisfyingly. A first level total party kill is okay, but there's nothing like a 10th level to really get the tears flowing.
Yeah. Or they just happen to have these little Cupid dolls on them.
Oh God.
Sorry, there's a 5th level adventure, a Carnival of
Cheers.
Incredible tears.
yeah, where they actually go to a carnival, and if they participate in the games, they get these little Cupid dolls. They have things like they all have curse effects.
Yep.
Which is horrible but amazing. But yeah, that you could even do that and something that they would pick up normally of just random loot. You could throw all kinds of stuff. The things that you're throwing at them doesn't necessarily have to be in that encounter. It could be something to help progress the story, or maybe something to draw them in to figure out, well, if these are cursed, where did they come from?
Now, what if you have a gobbo, just a normal gobbo in a sense, but his job and his clan is to train rust monsters. Just a normal CR 1/4 gobbo. They had the ability to send a small horde of rust monsters after the party.
Why would you do that?
Okay, so that's
Why would
okay.
I do that?
I hate to say it, that falls back to an old adage that a buddy of most of us here came up with. Was the 1/3 CR of the old man sitting in a rocking chair with a rod of summon pit fiend.
Okay.
Because they
Yep.
get no XP off of anything summoned. They only get XP off the guy they killed.
True. I'm just, give you the theme of tonight was give old
Yeah, that doesn't really strike me as being all that low level, though. Rust monsters right off the bat. For me personally, they seem to be kind of more the mid-range kind of a threat. Maybe one, but even then, if you're even remotely successful, you can have what I always try to avoid is the party going, well, I guess we're done for tonight because we got to go back to town.
Sorry, guys, there is no going back to town. You're in the thicket. Make it work.
Well, the other
I've
thing,
seen it happen 20 times. I've seen it happen once where the party goes, oh, we're not tough enough for this, and then they skedaddle, or they die. And that's kind of the exact opposite of what you want. You want to challenge. You got to have that happy medium between challenge and just out and out just freaking murder.
I see. That's where.
Now, see, I would be okay with if the Gabo happened to be a shaman,
Okay.
and he was your big bad at the end of maybe like a 10th level adventure, and then he were to summon a medium-sized rust monster to come out and go. Now, something like that is like a big bad at the very end of a arc. That I could be cool with, because you're still taking that goblin, but you're progressing him to give the players an actual legit fight, along with what other minions he's got around him. But his trump card is throwing that rust monster out and make the paladin squeal like a girl and run away. The other reason I say that is because paladins always have plate mail. They always have the most shiniest gear, and rust monsters are the bane of every paladin I've ever seen.
And in the old days, they were a 5-hit die monster, which, if you're talking first, second level party, I wouldn't be doing that. That he could literally just, without the rust effect, kill the party, at 5-hit die. Don't get me wrong. I'll use rust monsters. I have no problem using them, but it's got to be an equal, at least fair, to challenging, and maybe even, there are points when you want to literally force the party home. You'll send that, red dragon flies overhead. Well, it's time to get the hell out of here because we can't, it's the equivalent of putting up a brick wall going, you can't go here. You don't say that, but you give them no other choice besides, a TPK. It's like, oh, well, if you go any further, you are going to die.
So the wizards and the druids and the clerics have no way to combat the rust monster. A couple magic missiles.
It has nothing to do with the rust at that point when you're talking 5-hit dice, because you're talking the equivalent of sending a 5th level fighter against, 3 or 4, maybe 5 first, second level characters. After he's killed 2 of the party members, he may be half wounded, but it's all over for the party from a single rust monster that didn't even have to use its rust ability. That's how I'm looking at it.
It'd be like sending a 10th level orc to fight, a CR10 against a CR5. Essentially, is what he's saying. The CR5 being the party. Right. So, just the disparity between the two. Like I said, I see where you were going with it, but I would look at it more as this is the end of the arc. This is the big bad. This is the go on. This is where they're gonna they're going to come out the hero, or they're going to get just eaten up and spit out.
Well,
in rusty chunks.
Now, since I run 5e, I'll speak for 5e. The rust monster, as I'm looking at the stats, is not even a full CR. It's only worth 100 XP.
How many hit points?
Well, that's points? 5th ed.
27. AC 14. Tell me a second level or third level fighter that can't just smack the shit out of this thing and be done.
Okay,
that's a different system. That's why.
Yeah, you're talking 5th ed. You're talking 5th ed. I get it. We're talking more of the earlier editions.
Well, that's fine. But I'm gonna talk from what I'm running right now. Unfortunately, it's 5th edition. And
okay, so we didn't have the same frame of reference that you did. So
I can look in Pathfinder. That's not a problem.
To you, a rust monster in 5th ed is you kick it in the face at level 1 and it's dead. In 3.5 and Pathfinder 1E, it was I think a CR 8. And it would literally dissolve metal upon touch.
Well, and I believe you guys. I'm actually just CR3.
So that's why we're saying that we think that's a little too high. Is because we don't have the same frame of reference as you.
Right. I mean, in Pathfinder, it's a CR3. Same hit points, and the AC goes up by 1 notch in 18. Once again, if you got a group of fighters, I'm not talking about sending a whole swarm of these fuckers at them. I'm talking maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most. It's
although I do like the comment in chat there, Bruce. If you want to put that up, I do like the way that he's thinking here. If Bruce is still there,
yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not meaning to be argumentative. I'm just
no. It was frames of reference is what our issue was there.
All right. Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was off screen because I was looking at some stuff.
Stop looking at porn.
I find that the monsters between Pathfinder 3.5 and 5e are maybe off of each other by a notch, not very much.
Exactly. Books are guys. If you want something and it doesn't fit, modify it. Yeah. And I do like that. You could use a juvenile or an injured or run of the litter rust monster if you want. The party to experience it early. You can definitely do that. This is the thing. You can also. I know we're talking about classic monsters, but there are also using them later on in the game. But you also have classic monsters that are higher level that you could actually reverse this.
Yep.
And have them for lower level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you said baby, I was thinking, everything from baby dragon, which, depending on the system might or might not be a thing you'd want to do. But, baby other creatures, baby basilisk, or, something like that, might be a way to go. A baby minotaur.
I know you don't like Pathfinder that much, Shadow, and a lot of people don't because of the heavy rule set. But Pathfinder has some very simple templates which you apply to a monster, and you can change basic things about it, like dropping a hit die or adding hit die, adding a couple abilities, and it takes about 3 minutes if you know the system. 3 for a baby dragon or baby basilisk, or for a young rust monster. It wouldn't take that much. And likewise, giving it a Colossus template and adding the hit die and saving throw additions, all that takes you about 10 minutes.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say I don't like it. I mean, I'm still in the game, Bruce. There are things I despise, but there are things I despise about AD&D second edition, etc. Everybody's got their own, things they like and dislike, and I'm not going to go into it. But my personal frame of reference only goes so far, and I'm trying to learn these things. If someone would loan me copies of 3rd, 4th, 5th edition, I'd read them, and I'd be able to pick them apart, what I like, what I don't like. It's just, I'm not shelling out good money. If I'm going to buy stuff, I'm going to buy stuff I want to keep, that I already know I want to keep.
What's kind of funny is that I've given 3rd edition and 5th edition and 4th edition books to players, so they have an idea of where the game has gone and came from. And earlier editions too. I've given so many second ed players handbooks out. It's not funny. At Egyptian campaign of all places. But I will say that the new players, they play 5e, they play an OSR game. The game that they come back and they're like, why didn't 4th edition fly? Because there's a lot of things in 4th ed that work really well. But what didn't fly about it was the fact you have a good system that's got nothing in common with the history of it, and it has the words Dungeons and Dragons on the cover. Mm-hmm. And that's what tanked that entire system. I've never seen that before or since.
Well, the thing that instantly made me dislike anything called 4th edition when it came to D&D was and I may be oversimplifying it or not knowing the exact rules, but I heard that in 4th, the players were allowed to tell the DM what they found in the way of treasure. That's never going to fly.
Yes and no. It's more complicated than that. It wasn't so much that it's what they found in the treasure. They were given a range of. They were given a specific level of items from which to choose from, and those items came off of a list. So the game master knew everything that was on the list, so nothing was going to be a surprise. But when they started doing loot, it wasn't just random loot. I mean, the game master, obviously having full control over the game, could assign random loot, sure, but there were certain gear sets or whatnot that were designed for specific types of play or specific classes, and players wanted a little more influence over what they got. And so that's what led to that. It's not that the player was dictating to the DM what the loot was. No, the DM said, okay, you open the chest and there's loot in it. You get to pick 3 items from this list, 2 items from this list, and 1 item from this list, or just 1 item from this other list. So the game master limited what the choices were, but the players still had power of choice over what they got.
And was this an always situation?
No.
Nothing in D&D is always. It's always the DM.
Yeah, it was really dependent on the DM. Some
but-
DMs didn't care.
Gotcha. Yeah, I still couldn't do that.
Well, the best thing about 4th editions, honestly, were the damn commercials.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the cartoons that they had for the pre-launch.
Oh, yeah.
Monster! Rawr.
And I have a minion,
No.
and his name is Francis.
Mom, I got a lair. They gave me a lair after 35 years in the game. I got a lair.
I like
You
to
have
see
a
them.
lair? I have a lair.
The
I must have
tiefling
missed
that had a
all, I
Russian
must have
accent.
missed all of that. Well, what year?
I
What
didn't
year?
miss much.
Like, was that? Well, when was that?
2007, 2006.
Yeah,
Huh.
somewhere around there, 2008.
Yeah.
When we were doing better things like Pathfinder beta testing.
Yeah.
When I was having a kid. Well, no, that was when I was practicing on having a kid. I didn't have a kid quite yet.
You lie. You weren't pregnant with that. That was hers. That was hers. You just stood there and watched, and nobody ever congratulated you because you always think of sex anyway, 26 times a day. Nobody ever comes up to you when you got a pregnant wife next to you, and they pat your penis like, "Oh, what a good little boy you were."
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
And for you youngins out there, it doesn't change. Maybe after you hit 60, I don't know, but yeah,
No,
at least
Jade,
20.
how old is your dad?
In his 70s.
Yeah, he's a role model for some of us.
my father and my mom and dad came down in March. They just hit 71 this year.
Wow.
Not really a happy number for those of you that understand, like a 40-something, like watching their parents get older, like, no, stop that. Stop. You need to be 60 or less, like 55. That was where you were at your peak. Well, anyway, we leave somewhere, and this girl is exiting an HEB, and she's got like this huge, just voluptuous round buttocks that Sir Mix-a-Lot would just immediately break into song about. Like, he would proclaim his love and be like, I'm going to come out of retirement and rap just to put rings on your fingers and purses and bags on your arms and marry you and fatten you up and give you children. Because this girl had like the biggest, roundest butt I've ever seen in my life. And this is only in Bernie, which is just 20 miles away from San Antonio. And my dad and I are both staring at this thing going, oh my God. So I can tell you that when it doesn't matter what age you are, when you wake up with a penis attached to your body, sex is like, that's your prey drive. If you were a terrier and mice was all that you gave a shit about and vermin, well, you're not a terrier. You're a human male. And you wake up, you've got a dick. You're like, man, I want to fuck something today.
Which is also a low-level monster.
It's a trap.
No, that was last night.
No, that's marriage. Anyway,
If
so
you wanna
back
view
to
it
the
that
topic at hand.
I'm sorry, Chimerian. You look like you're suffering there.
You're also muted, it appears.
No, I'm not actually. I'm just being
Okay.
quiet.
Okay, you're just mouthing the words. Gotcha.
So I got to ask, aside from shamans and grafting was an item they did in 3rd edition. It was a way for you to instill a magic item into a monster or a character. But if they were ever brought down below 0 hit points, that item broke. It's over. It's done.
That starts getting way closer to like when you start getting into not the fantasy genre, but you're starting to get into cybernetics or weird biomodification, like some weird flesh crafting, shit that came out of a drow supplement from a third party that now you got weird biomodifications where it's like, ooh, we're starting to get into like vampires and meatsy territory of creepiness factors that's happening. And or if you're playing with Pathfinder and you're playing with the Iron Gods campaign in Path, where you start having going, well, weird spaceship crashed a long time ago in Mountain. Now everyone's got cybernetics in fantasy. Yes, that's a thing. It's a fun book.
Expedition to the Barrier Peak?
Pretty much.
They took it and they advanced that by an nth level, because Expedition Barrier Peak stops out at like what, 10th level, 12th level by the book.
Yeah, 10 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, but and after the Iron Gods campaign pack, they expanded it much like how Kingmaker was expanded into the campaign book, unlimited campaign book, like awesome. They also took all the weird shit that came out of that sector and then put it into the tech manual. And now you sort of go, now you have weird biomods and shit, and I'm like I've got other crap from other books, and it's like, wow. It's like, now so if I really want to go into the Full Metal Alchemist, automail, or I want to go into Iron Kingdom's, mechanical arms, and everyone's grafting weird shit to themselves, and it's like, wow. So I've got a goblin, I've got a kobold or a goblin who's got some weird grafted on shit. Unless you kill that monster, that orc who's got the huge, wired reflexes, reinforced bone structure, a mechanical heart, and all these regeneration things. AKA, if you play Shadowrun, a humanity 0.5 character, or an essence 0.5, or if you're playing Cyberpunk, a humanity 0.5 character, and cyber psychosis shit's running around. Awesome. I don't want to deal with that in fantasy, but you kill it. What are you going to do? Chop your own arm off? Replace your own nervous system? No, you can't do that.
Wow.
Are you going to get this Demetsi vampire who's been flesh crafting all the orcs into horrible abominations? Are you going to be like, hey, could you also graft some weird tentacle arms that can snap out claws? Some players will say yes, but most players will go, body horror is the one thing I'm not going to get into. I don't want a Giger-inspired character. Some might say yes. Most will say, Cenobite, no. And it's like, most players, when you decide to pull this thing, most players will look at you quite funny when you pull this thing out and go, hey, look.
Shit. I'm slightly jealous.
Yeah. I said, most players will look at this thing and go, I don't want to be anywhere near this, because they're smart. Meanwhile, I'm going, you want this, you just don't know it yet. And most players go, I have no idea what that is.
So Flatey puts in, so no penile golems?
I know, right? Players aren't thinking on, not playing outside the box enough. They don't know the wonders that could be right here.
Is pun included with that statement there, Hoff?
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
So,
Now going back to older editions of D&D, I know there was artifacts out there like a hand or an eye.
I have a spare in case somebody wants one.
I'll be right over.
Yeah, don't tell my wife.
Now
I'm so surprised that I did not see in the book of erotic gaming or erotic fantasy there was no penis of Vecna.
it's kind of funny that
No, that's not here now. So
I hate to say it, if it wasn't for Stranger Things, that guy, I briefly have heard of that guy because he's definitely much of an older system type villain.
also, most players today will never tear out an eyeball to go shove it into their head, or chop a hand off to go and get grafted on. most players go, I don't. No. I'm not doing that.
So for my 5th edition run of Rise of the Rune Lord, I chained out one Rune Lord for a one one evil dead dude. But
Evil Dead. Are you talking like Bruce Campbell, Evil Dead, or what?
well, there's books. There will be an eyeball. There will be a hand that they'll find. And it all belongs to the Rune Lord, who wants his tome back.
Rosebud.
Rosebud.
Okay.
We knew real life. I mean, outside of fantasy, it's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, but outside of in fantasy, you can always. We said this last time. You can always jack up the AC by a couple. You can always mess with the HP. Oh yeah, 3.5. Yeah. And
Hey.
you can get them up. Oh, is that 3.0? I'm sorry. 3.0. But outside of magic and armor and the basic bumping up the just HP or AC, can surrounding, putting the big bad that you wouldn't think is a big bad in the right surrounding, bump up the encounter?
Yes,
I mean, yeah,
of course.
environment plays a
Why not?
factor.
I mean, how would you guys
why
do
would
it?
not?
I'm just, I'm just asking as a question for the panel. How would you guys do it without having Jade spill something else on, preferably?
It's simple. Remember, what was it? The Star Wars movie where Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, and there's lava everywhere.
Oh, Return of the Myth.
Put the big bad guy out on a rock surrounded by lava. Come get me. Right off the bat. He's flying or something maybe, and the only way to get him is to, hop on, chunks of land that haven't completely submerged into lava, that sort of thing, and maybe, different environmental effects like I said, lava or water, or it's in a burning building, and because the bad guy knows the building better, maybe he's got the upper hand. Situations like that.
All right. Well,
I mean,
Which would definitely make for a dramatically visual experience. The one player characters finally gets to fight his nemesis, and the building's burning all around him.
well, for low-level monsters, I mean, if I want to ratchet up the challenge with environment, there's multiple ways of which I can do that. Take, for example, the zombies. I'm going to attack you with zombies in a cornfield or a hay field where the grass is, up past your head. Why? You can't see where the attack's coming from. That right there makes the encounter so much more dangerous, especially if there's 100 zombies in this cornfield that you don't know about, and they're attracted to sound. So as soon as combat starts, well, now you're attracting more zombies from the cornfield or from the wheat field or whatever tall grass is in the area. That's one way of doing it. But the inverse is also true. If the players get to an area of relative safety where they can bottleneck an enemy, then the encounter's going to reduce in difficulty because they've found a way to bottleneck it.
All right. What about you, Baron?
Say that one more time.
What would you do if for low encounters, if let's say it's the big bad for a low encounter and you want to ramp it up just by a little bit, but you decide to use the environment? What kind of environments would you use?
Well, swamps are always good. Swamps are amazing just for the simple fact of you've got ground that's unstable. You've got even a desert, because beautiful thing is quicksand.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, there are underwater springs that loosen the sand, but that the sand actually keeps it from fully evaporating. The top is fine for about an inch or two down. That evaporates, but underneath that, boom. If somebody steps wrong, boom, they're in that trap. Or even looking at a dungeon wise, having predetermined traps set in the fight room. I've seen that happen before, where the big bad's right in front of the fighter. The fighter just takes off because he's gonna do he's charging. He's gonna do this amazing flourish and stab the bad guy in the heart, and he gets 3 steps from him, and the floor drops out from underneath him.
Roy reflex save.
Yep.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, the thing is that anything that you do, you can. It doesn't matter the environment. You can adjust the environment, whether it to be a plus or a minus to the monster or to the players. Because if you think about it, a monster who's lived there is going to have lived there for a while, and they're going to know probably where a good place to step and where not so good place to step is. So on that point, if you're looking at like a swamp, they're going to know where to hit, where to step, where to go. And the same thing in a desert. They're going to know where a good spot and not a good spot is going to be for them to attack. It literally, if you can actually use the environment to help the actual monster. It comes back to the old adage of home field advantage. If a green dragon's in a swamp, he knows he can duck underneath the water.
Black.
Ain't nothing going to attack him.
Black.
It can be black or green. It's green in my world, leave me alone. Regardless.
There's also the added benefit of, like you said, swamp. Well, whatever's fighting in the swamp might also know that over here is a giant snake and over here is a crocodile. Or over here is where the giant scorpions live, or even just regular fucking scorpions. Little things like that could become unwitting allies of the monster, especially if the players, fall for the bait.
I'm going to go use a module for Pathfinder, Rise of the Rune Lord, when you're fighting the gobos in the glass factory. And those forges are still going. And the book doesn't really hint to it, but it does kind of apply it. If the gobos will be trying to knock the players into the forges or into the molten glass.
Nice.
I might have killed somebody with a group of gobos and chucking his ass in there.
Don't get too close to it. I mean, come on.
He was a summoner, and he was wearing his Amlar like a mech suit. So, no mech suits for you. All right. Other than environment,
Hey, Travis.
what are some of your guys' favorite way? I mean, I'm not trying to take over the show. I just got some questions, I guess. What's some of your guys' favorite fallback to, okay, I don't think this counter is going to be hard enough for them. And this is still low level. I'm not talking about dropping a big red or whatever, but how would you guys spruce it up? Start with you, Shadow.
We've hit a crap ton of those very same notions. Yeah, I'm almost.
Yeah, I'm trying to find right.
I mean, what's left? I mean, literally, there's so many ways, and I think we've hit them all. Unless any of you guys have something, the only thing I can think of are, pulling out those. I was just looking in a particular monster manual for the rarest of the rare type of monsters. Even at the low levels, they're monsters that your players have probably never heard of or looked at and went, I'll never run into one of those. just the weird oddball monsters like the flump. You know, back in the day, that was like nobody ever threw it against anybody because one, it was lawful good, and two, it was like why, you know,
It lives in the Underdark.
Or the boggle, you know, it was a blatant ripoff of Gollum, and nobody ever threw those out because it was just like, why is this even taking up space in this book? This has got to be a freaking joke. It was in a module back in the day. I don't know about the flump, but there I would pull out those really oddball, just, you know, crazy ass, dumb, weird, whatever kind of monsters that you know your players have never run into. Describe them as well as you can. Really, really go into the details and try to sort of throw them off with that, making them think, you know, like, for example, bullywugs. That was a thing that was never used in my experience. I have never run into them, and I've never run them as monsters. And I was listening to DM James a while ago, and he uses those things like freaking, like they're his best friends. You know, they're just, he's constantly throwing them out, you know, at any given opportunity. And I'm like, I'm going to go look those guys up. And, you know, I was listening to him talk about them. Like, yeah, you know, if I threw those at my party, or the Gripply, or some of these other weird, you know, monsters, my players wouldn't know what the hell to do. How about a Sioux monster? You guys ever run into one of those?
No. Can't say that I have.
Or a cat? There's a whole bunch of monsters out there that you probably never run into. Use those. Pull something just, you've never used it before, use it now. You know, find these really oddball critters and see how your party reacts. They might, you know, you might be able to freak them out because they thought they knew everything, and suddenly, you know, you're using them like you've run them 1,000 times before. You know, backwards and forwards. You describe them the whole bit, and they're like, you know, they'll be, you know, they'll be stuck for a minute just trying to, you know, collect their thoughts, figuring out what the hell is this? What you know, what should we do? Should we attack it? Should we try to parlay with it? Go from there.
What was that? And I asked this. What was that snail thing that it was immune to magic and had it's like little eye thingies where like basically maces that I can smack the party with.
The flail snail.
Flail snail, yeah.
Never used it. I'd rather just use a giant slug. It's just as creepy and makes more sense. And of course, it was in the first Conan paperback, so I almost always throw one of those at the party in the exact same situation. You're in a ruined castle, and you hear some things, you know, some rocks clattering. You're hearing weird noises, sizzling noise every once in a while, and then this giant, big, bloated sack of silvery gray skin is in front of you with two giant eye stalks, and it's creepy. You know, of course, to harken back to my love for Conan, and you know, most weapons don't work on it because of its rubbery hide. You literally got to crush it with part of the building, and then when your players read Conan, they'll go, "Oh, I was there." I did it for my son about a year ago, and it was awesome. They were running for their lives. Nothing was working. It just kept coming after them. You know, shooting acid at them. It was freaking awesome. And it's just a giant freaking slug.
No,
Not bad.
not bad. Keep in mind, I'm going to have to start carrying where Jade will carry a bag of flour with them. I'm going to have to keep a bag of salt.
If we had somebody carry a bag of yeast and one of you carry a bag of sugar, we could make some pizza dough.
So if we've beaten the hell out of this topic, what does everyone want to talk about?
The thing is that I just had a campaign on Saturday where you guys were walking around these two giant pools of acid in this castle. You only found one, but there's another one on the other side. Some mirrored
Of course
layout.
there is.
And you found two drow monks, and they somersaulted into the middle of the party while invisible, were silent on it, and then they started shoving people into the pool. All they managed to do is cost you a lot of money because they killed a cohort, Joe's cohort, but there's a lot of money tied up in him now. A lot of money. There's a lot of money tied up in him. He is a wizard, and now expect me to be using that wizard quite a bit. But I'm saying that you guys got chunked into the acid, and that is a counter for it being just, they weren't really super high level. They were about your level. There was 2 of them, and once the distraction went away, life returned to normal. But they were there for about an extra 40 seconds and made your life hell. Unless I ran that wrong.
No.
No, it was more of the concern about getting in the acid that was the issue. Everything else, I told him you're going to die, and he died. The monetary loss or the items, possession loss, that was the only fear in that situation, for me at least. I don't know about everybody else in that game, but it was a pain in the ass. It was definitely a pain in the ass, but
okay. I was kind of curious about that. I want to know your thoughts. Say again.
The monk's ability to get us into the acid seemed a little, unusual.
Bull rush and a high D20 roll. That's about all it was.
Yeah, I figured my weight was topping in at about 1,000 pounds though at that moment.
Yeah, I think you far exceeded his CMB attempt.
But the wizard didn't.
Poor wizard.
I mean,
yeah, that was what I would call a high level game, 10th level ish. So a lot of things have to be beefed up all the way around. It's not as you go up in levels as a party, the challenges exponentially grow in different directions. It's not just that straight line toward the hit point. It's all these things that branch out as you're going. When you're first level, you really only have to worry about like 2-3 things, but then each level branches off more and more and more off to the left and the right. It's no longer worried about what's coming right at you. You got to start thinking about the things that are coming at you from the side. And the more you go, the more different directions. Then the things coming from you, from underneath you and from above you, as opposed to low level where everything is, it's just coming down the hallway. That's it. You don't have to worry with underground yet. You don't have to worry if things are in the air or going to come through the walls. But as
you do. If you are in either a goblin or a kobold, going into their living area, they're going to have murder holes. There's going to be stuff coming out of the walls at you.
Right, but I meant literally through the walls.
Well, yeah,
like a ghost or a shadow or something like that, where it's defying the normal laws of physics. Murder holes and traps and the what the fuck, the things from Indiana Jones, the darts that were coming out of the walls, that kind of thing. Yeah, but I'm talking different dimensional, like I said, magic, ghosts, and things like that. As you start going up in levels, you then have to worry about that stuff. In the lower levels.
Okay, you're talking about the incorporeals.
Right.
Or the non-corporeals.
Right. Or even, things teleporting, in behind you. Or, coming up from under the ground like a bullet or something like that. In the beginning, you don't have to worry about, most things. You're kind of on a level playing field, maybe outnumbered, but it is kind of, you're kind of still in that realm of believable threat. The higher you go, though, that's when you start, the walls themselves can freaking attack you. So for the low level stuff, I try to, wean them into the stranger aspect of these games. Try to keep it, especially in low level games when you're dealing with new players. That's the biggie for me is getting them used to all the normal stuff before you start throwing in the hardcore magical stuff. If it's their first time playing and you got a first time magic user, serious baby steps, or you've just lost a player or a group because you're throwing these metaphysical concepts at people who just normally watch TV and now they want to play D&D.
I agree with that.
So how about we throw out some more of our favorite weird ass monsters and why we like to throw them out there. Any takers? I got one. I don't know if it counts as a low level though, because I was trying to find some tables to find it, but something I used to like to throw, and I don't know if this would really count as a low level, but rock grubs. You guys remember those?
Years ago.
Wrath of the Righteous uses them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Are they a low level for you guys or a high level? Or mid?
Wait, what monster?
Rot grubs.
grub.
I think they were relatively low level. I know that I could use them as swarms, as medium sized, small, or gargantuan.
Oh, really? That's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The gargantuan ones were quite terrifying.
Because back in the old days, the rock grub was simply just a worm that would burrow into your skin and head for the heart. And the only way to get rid of it was to apply a torch or some fire immediately to the wound, and that would kill it, which is weird. Or like a cure disease or something like that spell, and that would kill it. So it might kind of raise it potentially into the 3rd to 5th level character realm, but I couldn't find it on any charts that would tell me like what kind of a threat level it was in my AD&D and 2nd edition books. I mean, it's only got one freaking hit point. The same thing with the throat leech.
Yep.
Oh no, see, it's real easy. Magic missile. It never misses.
Put down your own throat?
Yeah. It'll hit that. It won't hit the player because it never misses.
That's ingenious. At least on the throat leech. I don't think the rock grub it would work. You just get a mirror and go.
Okay. The thing is with this, it was Dungeon Master Therapy, which is a TikTok guy, YouTube guy.
Oh,
anyways,
God, I love that guy.
He came in and says, well, my party figured out I need to know if a magic missile can kill a slot egg. And he's like, what? He goes, yeah, he got attacked by a slot egg. He goes, well, but it's in their chest. And he goes, yeah, they opened up his chest and they targeted magic missile at him. And they said, they did open chest surgery on him? He goes, well, yeah. He goes, but will magic missile hit because they can see it and it's a direct spell?
Absolutely, that would be no question. It's just would he survive the open heart surgery is the real issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What kind of anesthetics do they have?
I know
the good kind.
If my character's in a swamp, I like to use leeches. Because I don't care who you are. Leeches unnerve most people.
Yeah.
Not Omen.
Omen's a weird duck. So
Omen's awesome. What are you kidding? That guy's awesome.
I don't get wrong. I enjoy his company immensely, but a leech, especially if you're a fan of, let's say, Peter Gunn, who just happened to do a movie that had leech type creatures with a hive mind. Slither.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. Forgot about Slither.
We were just talking about that movie a while ago, weren't we?
Yeah. I was actually, I've been wanting to rewatch it. I'm finding it hard to find a copy of it.
Hold on, buddy. I got you. You're me.
Okay. I kind of dinging. Okay. I want to go back to humans. Because what if your humans are pirates?
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about like leeches, there's a game called Green Hell, and it's a game on the PC. And anytime you get in the water, you have to check your arms and your legs, and then pick leeches off because they will affect your health.
I keep thinking, okay, there's an old Stephen King movie called Stand By Me, where one of the kid has leeches in a very inappropriate and sensitive area, and so that kind of did leeches for me. It's like, yep, nope.
That's nasty.
Generally speaking.
Well, let's say, like I said, humans. If you don't really give them class levels and just stick to the NPC monster Kodak that, let's say, Pathfinder has, or cannibal halflings, I think it's one of those things that people just don't expect. I mean, if it's a sea-going campaign, yes, pirates are going to be a thing. But what if you're just happen to go into a port city and there's, towns being raided by pirates? Kai,
Here's what I know. Here's what I know. I'm sorry.
No. I'm okay. I'm just listening. Don't worry about me.
Okay. I just don't want you to blow up on me.
Have you guys ever heard of Kill Kittens?
No.
I've
I've heard of Secret Hitler. Does that count?
Okay.
Is this Explosive Kittens?
No. This is from Arduin. Your characters are going through a town or even the forest or whatever, and they see a poor little kitten just sitting there meowing at them, right? They pick up the kitten because it doesn't resist. It then injects these unnaturally large claws into the victim with a massively powerful paralytic poison. The player goes down. And then out of the trash cans and nearby come dozens, if not scores, of their brethren.
Wait, I think I've seen that. It's called a musical? I mean, it's a musical called Cats?
No. That's just one of the more famous Arduin critters. The illustration for it is just beautiful. If you guys haven't picked up an Arduin book, I'll try and help you guys out later. But it's chock full of just some of the most devious creatures out there. How about Airshark? Okay, imagine you bust down a door and you're greeted by a shark that's floating and swimming at you.
Wait. I think I saw that on a Saturday Night Live skit.
No. That's the land shark. These are air sharks. These are air sharks, and they're no different than a regular shark. Okay, but it's in the air.
Now, I've seen those before. They're in Doctor Who.
Yeah, that was a Tennant's era. No, that was Matt Smith.
That was probably taken from the pages of Arduin.
No, it was before Arduin was put out.
Arduin was put out in 79.
I don't know.
Oh, trust me, I know my Arduin. I've actually got miniatures that are older than that Doctor Who run.
Now,
Sometimes they're actually tamed by goblins or kobolds as thieves.
now, it's from a third party person, and I gotta say actually how balanced it is. But I came across a new. Speaking of cats, I found a new creature I want to send on my party. It is called Cat Sith.
You just wipe your shoes off and you'll be fine.
That is basically the Lord of the Cats that works for the Winter Court.
Oh God. No. No.
And going back to the Airshark real quick, they're only like, whatever hit die a regular shark would be, depending on you can choose the hit die of them basically. But
that'd be cool.
when they do finally kill the sharks, the reason they stay afloat is because of a gas bladder that will explode.
Oh shit!
Also causing damage. So right off the bat, your players are running down the hallway screaming because sharks are coming at them. And then if they finally do manage to defeat the beasties, then they blow up and get shark guts all over them. And a couple of D6 of damage.
I still think that my Cat Sith might be a tad bit more dangerous.
Well, oh yeah. That's a hugely powerful sounding creature. If you guys remember the Cat Lord from first edition, he was the Lord of Cats. He had like 99 freaking hit points. I'm talking about 20, 30 hit point monsters. Maybe even less if you want to throw some Makos or some little sharks at him. Some yellow sharks.
About a couple weeks, maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I sent you a picture from 5e where it was a crossbreed between sharks and rabbits.
Yeah, I think I remember that. That reminds me of the Thunder Bunnies. That's another Arduin nasty. It's basically like a jackalope, but when you encounter them in the hundreds to thousands, and you hear them off in the distance, them thumping their feet before they charge, and then you just see ears as far as the eye can see. They're only going to do like 1 or 2 points of damage each, but.
Hey, Shadow. DM James wants to know if your sharks have freaking lasers.
That's only in my Traveler campaigns.
All right, we need Victor on here so I can say, "How about no, you crazy Dutch bastard."
Dude, the sharks have freaking lasers on their head. That's all I want. The sharks with freaking lasers.
I think one of the best inspirations for the classic monsters is actually go back to like the 1984-86 D&D cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was where I first learned how to talk like a boggart.
I saw that episode, and for a second I thought I was watching Ninja Turtles because, like, a weekend before, the Ninja Turtles met up with the Leatherheads, or whatever the hell those frog mutants were called. I'm like, wait, I think I've seen this cartoon. It was Ninja Turtles. Nope. I was wrong.
My favorite druid is the one that has the jelly as the cohort, and he goes through the dungeons and cleans up all the messes.
What about you, Mike? What's your favorite low-level classic monster that you'd like to send at the party that I've probably been killed by or killed? Oh,
Classic?
actually.
Well, I mean, define classic. Classic to what specifically? I mean, are we looking at movie monsters? Are we looking at D&D specifically?
D&D. Let's stick with D&D.
Okay. Classic low-level D&D monster? Honestly, it's not even a monster. It's an animal. And I have killed countless players with it. Crocodile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
I've killed, I don't know how many players I've killed with a crocodile. And it's not that high of a CR either. It's really, it's the grapple as part of a bite action. It's a free grapple after they use a bite attack. And then if I manage to land the grapple, I get to do a death roll. for more damage. And it just the combination of it, even straight up wolves are, oh my god, nasty against low level players. I had to stop sending. Actually, I had to make a house rule, and this was a gatekeepers a couple weeks back now, that I had to make a house rule for my games that I would allow players to stand up as a full round action, do nothing else but stand up to prevent attacks of opportunity. Now
that is a rule, though. That's actually part of the game.
Actually, I can never find that rule.
It's part.
I could never find that rule anywhere.
I believe it's part of the withdrawal action.
Okay. Well, the thing is, they weren't withdrawing; they were just standing up to stay in combat.
Next round, you're moving the hell away, but you're not.
But they wouldn't move. They wouldn't move away. That was the thing.
You're all around. All you're doing is standing up slowly and defending yourself accurately enough where you do not suffer an attack of opportunity.
Yeah. Or you could stand up as a single move action, was the other one. Well, the players were getting just absolutely destroyed by a pack of, I think, 3 wolves. Because a wolf has a bite attack, and if they land the bite attack, they get a free trip attempt. Well, none of my players could stay standing round for round, especially when the wolves would get a attack of opportunity and knock the player right back down. So it became a death spiral in a hurry at like level 1. So I mean, I like throwing just animals at brand new players because I need to know how they're going to react to battle tactics against things.
This warms my heart to hear this. There's nothing better than a DM that just looks at his player characters take off 7 damage.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many players have died to a crocodile or a wolf, either one.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring this up, but I got distracted here with house shit. Yeah, there's a lot of good, just regular, normal animals that can really throw a wrench into the plans of even the best parties. Wolves and crocodiles are great examples. Coyotes, things like that. There's just literally the sky's the limit. You know, you could, a murder of crows, things like that. Even some of the more, like the smaller things, like regular scorpions, poisonous snakes, poisonous spiders, things like that. You know, 1 hit point creatures that can really make it, hard for your players to get a good night's sleep. If they don't know a few simple things besides just, having, a lit fire around the camp that will, once they start losing sleep, you know you're on the right track, so to speak. And if that doesn't work, there's another one that I was just looking up earlier today. That's undead animals. A swarm of undead gazelle, or just dogs, house cats, rats, things like that. If you've got a low level necromancer in the area that he's dealing with, one of the first things he's going to look at is I eat food, and that food is animals, and when I'm done, I've got this pig skeleton. Animate, half a dozen pigs, a couple of cows, some sheep, horses, whatever, just regular animals that are now, skeletons. You're looking at something that's going to be, at the very least, memorable. The next time they go, shopping for food in the butcher section, they might be thinking about, that necromancer.
Well,
That gives me so many ideas.
No, I like the idea in chat.
What did I miss?
The party breaks for the night on top of a small nest of soon-to-hatch rust monsters. Eggs look like rocks.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of chat, somebody Oh, here it is. Travis, what did you mean about that PDF?
I'll tell
PDF
you.
were you talking about?
I'll explain it to you later.
Well, I knew what he meant, but I didn't know which one he was referring to.
Now, I've had a DM that had the.
I'm dead turkey.
I had a DM who when you summon nature's allies, his take of this spell, I deeply enjoy, and I actually use it in my campaigns because it makes sense to me and to honor that DM because I think he's a really good DM. Now, with that being said, that can work both ways. A druid summoning, you're fighting an evil druid and it's summoning nature's allies from that area. Swamps being alligator, snakes, shit like that. The prairie might be wolves and things like that. And I just think it's a really good. I think it's fun because normally, in the normal way, the spell works was if you summon it, it basically comes from the spirit realm, and once you hit it, it goes away, it goes poof. But with his, it doesn't go away, and you have you have dinner afterwards. That makes with a nice stew with a former companion in it. Anyways,
Fleety,
Waste not, want not.
how dare you? So, what other questions do you have, Andy or Connell? Sorry, dude.
that's fine. I'm sorry. I off on my wall there is an action figure of the Crow, and from Brandon Lee movie The Crow, and he's kind of in the same.
That's the only Crow movie that was ever released. I don't care what you have to say.
Okay, that's fair. And he kind of looks like he's doing the cross dance. So anytime I have questions, I look up at him. That's blasphemy. Anyway, so what do you do when you're dealing with somebody who has familiars that they use to watch the party? Like the party doesn't know that they're being stalked by a birds, ravens, crows, whatever. Do you guys do stuff like that? I know that's such a weird question. It could be answered better. I'm sorry.
I mean, it works like the scrying spell. Eventually, they're going to notice something's up.
There's a mechanical owl flying around here. You've heard it for the past couple miles, but when the owl gets a little close, it's not really looking for mice. He notices it's got whirling bits on it, and the wings look a little mechanical. Once you spot it and your archer takes aim, the owl tries to fly away.
Yes, Carl?
From experience, most players do not run and don't try to run a very tight ship when it comes to surveillance. It's not paranoid enough. I'm used to running with groups who will be constantly running, like before camp, we're like running detect magics, detect lives, trying to like narrow down where targets are. We will murder shit and then back trace it, and then we'll try. And this is why I guess this is gonna be a little sidetrack on how paranoid players who are afraid of this exact problem act and function, where we will. I know a lot of us play this game because we want to be all magical, fucking bullshit, sparkly wonder people. But because people identify. It's like, oh, I know what you're wearing. It's quite distinct. I'm going to use a locate object, which at that point it's pretty much the equivalency to having. Oh, how can I best describe it as radio direction finding? As in, you are going to be tracked because of the crap you're wearing. So you don't have players. Certain players do this, and I'm one of them. Who we will sanitize our gear. Non-standard equipment, standardized equipment. Everything is cheap. Everything is brand new. Everything has no identifying marks on it. We will purposely make disposable gear. Oh no, we have the really good gear, but it's concealed away in either bags or extra-dimensional spaces, so you're not tracking that. And we will go as silent, as magically non. So I'll just track you by your magic items or your spells. We will run as magically dead as humanly possible. Why? Because we've had GMs who are pricks. Who are like, oh, I'm going to track you using scries and all this other shit, and like, you got to be able to find us. Well, we will burn gear. As soon as a job is done, we will take off gear, throw it in the dumpster, light it on fire, grab the next set of gear, throw it on. And it's like, but it's just non-magical, it's just garbage leather armor. We're like, but it's nondescript. It is, you will not see it coming. So the moment we know that we're going to be underneath the magical version of a keyhole satellite that's flying over periodically and watching our every single moment, if we know we're dealing with a magical raw stat, we are fucking doing everything. We are dropping everything. And if we have one person, usually some faggot who's like, I'm a paladin with plate armor, my magical mount, and we're like, you get to sit out in the field about 200 feet that way. We are going to be concealed in a hole. You'll never find us, motherfucker. Like, we are pulling out like Viet Cong tactics. I'm trying to dodge. I dodge the GM, and we will watch the paladin and the idiots who don't understand what sanitizing your gear and playing with operational security fucking means. And they'll be in a field, a nice little fire, being like, oh, we have warm food and fire, and you're going to get murdered by goddamn goblins and zombies and other weird shit. And, whatever the fuck the GM wants to throw at you, because a wizard or a ranger or a druid is tracking your every fucking movement. And at that point, the smart players are sitting over here in a cold, shivering hole going, we're not dead. Good luck finding us. And the GM, why are you making it so hard? Because you're using fucking, intelligence operation shit, and we don't want to die. And the GM's like, but I won't do that. And I'm like going, if I as a GM can figure out how to do this, as a player I can figure out how to do this, you better believe I'm going to walk to make sure that you're not doing this. Back at me. And I guess the players I played with and the players who I'm playing are that paranoid because we've dealt with that shit. And really, at that point, you're having a GM, as a GM, if you're the one using the Saruman discount familiar horde that's watching your every step as you cross to the Misty Mountains, at that point, you're the GM who can now explain why you're metagaming, and your players are all sitting here they better be doing the exact same thing Gandalf did, which was get the fuck out from underneath under surveillance, because holy shit, they're going, we're being watched. Now we're just going to be vectoring in the backfire strike on top of us, going to fucking ass rape us. No, I don't want to die. And your players are going to fucking run and be smart. The dumbasses, paladins and clerics are dumbasses and go, but I'm a wizard, I'm a cleric, I'm a paladin, I have all this cool shit. I don't know how to not memorize your spells, not wear awesome gear. We are now being surveillanced by an intelligent enemy who's going to track our every movement. Why are you not being paranoid to the point where you got to assume the enemy is now chasing you at every single moment? But most players don't think that way. And God bless the players who aren't that paranoid, but I am that paranoid. My players are that paranoid. Or the good ones are. The rest are just dead meat that on whatever day I decide that, you know what, fuck you. Eat the entire army of evil, because they're smarter than you, and you guys are all just parading around as though you're the fucking 13 dwarves from The Hobbit. We're too stupid to figure out how to avoid shit. That's how you handle the GM, unless you plan on literally showing an intelligent enemy where hopefully if you're smart, you're vectoring in all of the slowly moving trap of the environment around you. Like the noose slowly, gradually tightening around the party, and the party going blissfully going, we're just adventurers, we're the heroes, nothing bad will ever happen. Hopefully you have a ranger or a druid or somebody intelligent in the party who has 2 brain cells that are fucking firing today and goes, we're being tracked, right? Well, of course we're being tracked. We're the heroes. The bad guys are... No, we need to either reverse course, change our direction, start being smart, and start evading the trap. Figure out where the trap is, and at that point, hey, Ranger, start figuring out where the enemy is now tracking us so we can avoid it, so we don't die. And so, yes, if you assume that you're playing, if you're going to start using intel gathering tactics, assume your players are paranoid as fuck and are going to start doing things that are bordering on like intelligence and operation levels of craziness. So, yeah.
How do you put up, or how do you deal with sympathetic magic, like people who grab hairs, fingernail bits, and blood? How do you guys handle that?
You weren't engaging in operational security. Why weren't you cleaning up your shit behind you? Fuck. Carry bleach with you. Start casting it all over the place.
Yeah, you poop in your bags of holding before all consent.
That's right. But no, at that point, shit happens. You gotta deal with it. You can't.
Rarely.
You can't be 100% perfect, and you pray that whatever they're tracking you with is hopefully getting consumed, or you realize that eventually you are going to have to get tracked, and you are going to have a fight eventually. But when you have a party of 5 to 6 players, not everyone knows how to gather up their own shit, and we'll get us all caught anyway. Fuck.
I almost kind of want to learn how to play. Was that game Paranoia, and play with Kai.
It's not what you think. It's not what you think.
It's not what you think.
Oh, that's disappointing.
The word paranoia is a misnomer at the very least. It's more of a goofy game. It's more of a tongue-in-cheek.
It is. It's a great night.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
It's a good one shot to sort of cleanse the palate of just a lot of things like Kai was talking about, that whole sort of just absolutely hardcore mentality I find really weird in fantasy games where the bad guys and the good guys are using mental thought processes that took us thousands of years to get to.
The thing here is that it's not actual. Okay, we think you think that it's a recent thing. Bounty hunters, rogues who have been rogues doing certain tricks like using the branch to fucking clear out your tracks behind you. That's not.
No. I get where you're coming from, but it just seems like.
But the thing is that magic
adversarial mentality from a DM that you've had experience with.
Oh, it is adversarial. The moment you're bringing in surveillance and scrying tools, it goes from being fair to you're now against an enemy who's intelligent. And you got to outsmart. If I'm using it, you better realize that if I'm deploying my equivalency to surveillance devices that are overflying areas, or I'm surveilling things, you better believe I'm planning something, and you better plan accordingly. It's abusive, and it's not really abusive, but it's a good way for players to gather information. But the GM is like, you're just saying whatever you do, I can now justify why the villain automatically has a counter to all that you do, and why you're about to get ambushed by 14 encounters in the next three sessions. Because, well, you better hope the GM is going, well, the enemy now knows about you, but they are not quite capable of coordinating the fact that they're going to murder you. Because I'm used to players who do things like they figured out how to do command and control. They figured out how, and the thing is like, well, it sounds all modern, but magic in most of these fantasy settings are it's not like it's a new thing. It's been around for thousands of years. Well, my character's a wizard, and it's so rare in our area. Sending is not a rare spell. Like all these spells that are detect magic, not a rare spell. Locate object, not a rare spell. These are the foundations of what you could like detect living, detect undead, not an old spell. You should be planning not new. These aren't new rare random magics. People who are combat, and we have combat mages out there, or people who specialize in divination, or fill in the blank, and everyone's been working with this shit. So we act like magic is a strange thing and we only ever use it by what the book defines. No, once you start getting if anyone puts two thoughts together, there are magic items that allow you to have inter-party silent communication. There are spells that allow you to communicate with someone. It's weird when you have players who literally will hire NPCs whose entire job is to be the prick carrier. He's just there to fucking carry the radio. And his entire spell is just, you're going to memorize only sending spells. Why? Because I need to be able to control a group. And he's acting as the center point for a communications thing. Why? Because that's smart. And nobody would have thought about doing that in my fantasy world, because nobody thinks about using magic besides I cast Fireball or Lightning Bolt. I cast a Melt Acid Arrow, some magic missiles, and that's all they ever do. Occasionally, I cast Teleport. Fuck no. Why aren't your wizards and clerics and sorcerers and druids literally being battlefield control officers who are literally able to run empires as a communication network? Why aren't they literally just going out there and hitting clerics, hitting mages over the head and locking them in cages to be the fucking backbone of an entire nation communication unit? Why? Well, magic is rare. Bullshit, because you're in a party where out of 8 people, 6 of you cast magic. So magic ain't rare. Well, no, because I use the fucking Copernican model of mediocrity. The party is not special. You are the average. So if the party is 70%, is 80% magic users, there's probably more than just 5 magic users in the kingdom. And if not, my first operation as I set up a kingdom is I'm going to go walk through and take aptitude tests. And I'm going to throw every single peasant through the aptitude test. And if any of them can have a 14 intelligence, which is slightly above average, they get to go off and become casters. Well, they can't be high-level casters. I don't want high-level casters. Plus, most of them are probably going to top out at 4th level anyway. And I don't want a bunch of people casting Fireball running around. I want a bunch of people whose entire job is to send a message from this area to this area. The moment you start bringing in intelligence gathering things or communications things, you're going to have to start figuring this shit out. And, well, magic is magic. Congratulations, you are boring as fuck. The magic is only what the book tells me. Magic is not fantastic. Well, I don't want it to be too fantastic. Okay, then I will go at it from a purely mechanical format. Now you're putting too much thought into magic. Magic is mystical. No. You can't have mystical. If I can't have mechanical, you gotta give me mystical. And wondrous. But if I can't have wondrous, it's going to be fucking I'm mechanically fucking a goddamn the 5th force of fucking physics here, where it's got defined rules, and I'm going to figure out what those rules are. Somebody in the last 3,000 years, but since we play most fantasy empires, this magical fantasy empire has been around for 10,000 years. 10,000 years, and nobody has bothered to define what spells do. Nobody's bothered to figure it out. The magical empire of mystical, magical floating castles and cities in the sky, they never figured it out because they're all wizards and they're priest kings, and they never bothered to do any actual work or document it because knowledge is power bullshit or some other fucking wank job, excuse for why you want to have mystical fantasy shit, but never actually explain how any of it's done because Wizard did it is an excuse that most of us are lazy fucking GMs and do because fuck you. And so I have had play. So yeah, I'm sorry I've been ranting. I ran off in a random wander direction, but I'm sorry. I'm tired of every fucking GM and fucking Magic users being some fucking The player's handbook doesn't say this. Oh, congratulations. This is why nobody fucking does anything with Magic. You're just a walking artillery piece. No, I'm a wizard. You're a fucking mortar. You walk, you're a mortar. Every once in a while, you cast Lightning Bolt, which is just a direct fire anti-personnel weapon. Congratulations, you're a walking weapon. Well, other things. What? Invisibility? Congratulations, you're now a stealth mortar. Ooh, I fly. Oh, good, you're just a flying bomber. Congratulations! Now everyone's gonna be looking around for. Now you got people who are gonna be quietly trying to figure out how to kill the flying invisible wizard. Why? Because nobody wants to be killed by a flying invisible wizard. Well, no, this is Magic. Nobody's got a counter to that bullshit. Somebody's figured out a counter to this shit, and they're going to figure out how to shoot your fucking flying faggoty ass down. And you're going to be a dead corpse on the ground full of arrows and ballistic bolts or giant exploding rounds in the sky that have been lighting you on fire, and now you're on fire and dying. Congratulations. Look, you're making Magic... No, this is not a world where everyone has no idea what Magic is. I'm sorry, we don't play in a world where, oh, wow, you're a wizard. Oh, God, a cleric. No, we play a world where every town you go into has an apothecary, 3 clerics, a wizard, some sorcerers, an alchemist. Oh, that was just that's just in Podunk Metamora. You go into a major city, fuck, they're everywhere. You can find magical crafters. I'm sorry.
You're good, man.
I've been quiet all day. I'm sorry.
I actually kind of missed my.
He's just like Mount Vesuvius, just slowly building up to the end
I've
of the
been
show.
listening to my weekly from St. Kai. But no, I agree. I completely agree. It's either you allow Magic in your campaign and everything that goes along with it,
or you don't.
You don't.
And when somebody says low Magic, you better believe I'm going to be like, okay, we're playing a low Magic game, and I will dial back my crazy down to low Magic level. But you better believe the moment a little bit of high Magic comes in here, I'm cranking it way back up to Miskatonic University levels of insanity.
Wait, it'd be caffeine. He's on caffeine.
Yes, I polished off a very large pot of the coffee Bruce sent me.
Morning.
Of course you did. You had to give him the crack.
I did.
Was it Reaper?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, anybody else have anything else to add? Because I think we gave some ideas out there. We didn't really go into the new school stuff too much, but I think it's important that we have these lessons here.
I have nothing, like always. I don't want to follow Kai. So that is said with much love, Kai. That's not.
I understand.
There's only one way I can follow Kai, and if we're done beating this horse into glue, then I think I'll do that. So next week, we're going to change it up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So we are actually going to be playing online. For the next 2 weeks, we are going to be. One of us is going to take the helm as GM. I believe it is Jade who is slotted. to take the reins next week to do a GM. We're going to do this about once a month, give or take. Going to do a couple, and yes, you are all going to finally witness the grandness that is the Index Card RPG. You've heard him talk about it not only here, but on several other streams, through to include, the Friday Night Chill stream, Gatekeepers, and here. So we are going to be doing that. And we're going to have 2 nights of stream of gaming. So basically about 4 hours worth of gaming between the 2 nights. And then on the third night, we're going to pick apart the system. Things that we like, things that we didn't like, things that we thought, maybe could be better with it. Basically, what we're going to do is this is our own deep dive into the individual systems that maybe not a lot of us know. Because me personally, I don't know anything about Index Card RPG, so I'm going to be learning. And I don't think anyone else here except for Jade has really dug into it, which is going to be really fun because, I do enjoy learning new game systems. So I think it will be also, a good way because, this is number 50?
50.
50. So how better way to cap off the year than of TableBreakers than to have 2 sessions of us actually putting, the proverbial money where our mouth is and DMing and showing you some of the stuff that we've talked about in past streams. So this is something that it was championed by Jade, and then we all just kind of picked it up and says, you know what, this is a really good idea. So we all just decided that, screw it, we're going to do it. It's one of those things. I think it'll be good because, number one, it showcases different systems. It showcases our DM abilities. And I think that, those of us who have been the forever GMs, I'm not one to point fingers up in the upper corner, but I'm going to point fingers at people and that have been the forever GMs. They have not had really a chance to play, and this is going to give us a chance to play. So definitely make sure we do tune into that. Bruce, you had put in there you wanted the last 15 minutes for something.
Yeah, I just wanted to really talk about the cryptids that we know and love, like Bigfoot and Sasquatch, and for those of you in South Carolina, the Lizard Man. And there's a bunch of creepypastas all over the internet. There's some funny blob squatch photographs all over the web. Don't overlook these as a DM. Use these as resources. Use these as ways for you to spook your players. Nothing will improve your ability to convey the basic emotions out of your table than by you being a good listener and studying on these various discussions, creepypastas or the Dogman encounters or stuff like that, where you can hear things. And I would love to put the things I've learned in a game where the players are attacked by carnivorous lizardmen, because getting eaten alive has got to be one of the top frightening things to deal with, especially if they're doing it raw, not over a fire. So I want you to think about some things and have that. And I could go 15 minutes, but I think I can just shorten it to listen to some things on the internet. There's plenty of it out there. Study it. Figure out where does the narrator snare, where's the hook at? And use that hook to your benefit whenever it's time for you to run a game and for you to captivate your players, because that's going to translate for you very well. And I think I could probably wrap that little segment up with that. And I took 2 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, make sure you do like if you do enjoy the content, subscribe, share it. We definitely do appreciate that, both myself and Bruce, where this is being simulcast at. currently. We are looking possibly. This is coming up. We're actually doing this on all 6 of our channels at the same time. It's something we're kind of playing around with and seeing if we can actually do. So then you can support your favorite member here of the TableBreakers team. But definitely make sure that you do throw out those likes and subscribes and the shares, and you just throw it in if you got discords or gildeds, you really like it, think that other people would like our discussions, throw it in there, throw a link. We definitely would appreciate it. So I think that pretty much does wrap it up for us on this one. I do want to thank Shadow for moderating the past 3 weeks. Well done, sir. Definitely did
Thank
enjoy
you.
it.
Thank you, guys. It's a lot of fun.
This was a very good topic, and we did have a little powwow, kind of figured out what we're going to be doing. So we've got pretty much most of the streams figured out from here into middle of next year. So and just with one little meeting and everything else. So it definitely did help to do that, to kind of give it a little bit more structure, so we weren't coming up at the flying by the seat of our pants. And definitely we have enjoyed you guys here. So you know what, Kai, since it was your birthday yesterday, why don't you take us out?
No.
There you go.
Saw that coming.
All right, well, I tried.
Good night, everyone.
I know you tried.
All right, so let me go ahead and round this out then. I'm going to use. I've used this before, and I'm going to use it again because it's a great one to use. My buddy NZ, who was in my chat earlier, I don't know if he's still listening or not, but I'm gonna steal his stuff. Yes, Skeletor is telling us exactly what Kai just said. But time is a very finite resource, and tonight you use some of that resource to listen to us, or even on when you're watching this after the fact. We definitely thank you for spending that valuable resource with us. We thank you very much, and good night, everybody.
Take care.
See you next
Bye,
week.
everybody. See you soon.